Hello.
What's up,
Take two.
everybody? Welcome to episode 8 of Spoiler Alerts. I'm ChanManV.
What a flawless entrance. First time we did it.
Hold on, wait.
There we go.
For the listeners out there, I just froze my face.
They have no idea what we're talking about. Well, guys, I'm ChanManV. He's Ellohime. He is Eat My Addiction. And we've got our first guest to welcome to the show today. We want to welcome Bikeman to the show. What's up, buddy?
Hi.
We can't see your face. You are actually frozen.
I'm literally sitting on this tricycle right now, trying not to move.
You look so lifelike.
It's
It's like a painting.
Total Borderlands right there.
I should have given you the animation where it's breathing.
What?
Oh,
God, yeah.
It's got vape coming from its side and stuff. That'd be freaking amazing. No, guys.
So you guys, you go ahead and lead us.
Just real quick for those of you that are tuning in for the first time, we're doing it on Addictions stream, so just want to give the standard intro. This is Spoiler Alerts. What we do on this show is spoil a bunch of different TV shows,
Bunch
and
of
movies
spoil
and
sports
whatnot.
over here.
Exactly. So if you don't want to know anything about Luke Cage, since that's what we're going to be discussing today, then you probably should just turn off your volume. You can watch us, but just turn your volume off or mute your volume. So that is
Make up your own conversations in your head of what we're
Exactly.
talking about.
Exactly.
This
But still
podcast
watch
can
us.
be literally about anything if you use your imagination and put a mute on us.
Oh, man. So that's what we're going to do. We're just going to dive into Luke Cage today with Bikeman. And also, you can join our discussion at the end by joining this Discord channel that Monkey Overlord's going to be waiting. He's going to be waiting there for you. And I know helping us out and getting you guys ready to actually come on the call and let us know what your thoughts on Luke Cage are or is. And in the past, we've had some mind-blowing things from you guys, so we're looking forward to getting a chance to have you guys join too.
Like when that one viewer told us who killed JFK.
Yeah, that was awesome.
In Watchmen?
And watch.
What an unexpected venue for the truth to come out.
What? Was it the grassy knoll, or was this another thing we didn't even entirely?
Satellite.
The parking lot.
Just aliens.
Aliens.
Okay, aliens.
There we go. Enough said.
Oh
All right,
man.
so
So, okay, yeah,
how's
we're
your week?
okay.
Yeah.
Let's jump right into Luke Cage.
All right,
You know what, Bikeman, you're our new guest. You know what?
You go first.
Let's start with you.
You want
all
my
right?
overall opinion of the show?
Let's just start there. We'll just start just overall opinion of the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I
Sounds
liked
good.
it a lot, but I had small qualms.
Okay. Like what?
He was too conflicted sometimes, where it was like okay, we get it, like just
Yeah.
fucking punch a guy every now and again, you know. But then there will be a consequence, and it'll affect the people of the Harlem and the thing, and it's like, okay, come on.
Oh,
You're not Batman,
At that
okay?
point, you know. Like
Yeah,
I get
no.
it, what they were going for, but it was like too layered on too thickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's that whole like, I don't want to be a hero. I'm just a regular guy.
I just want to sweep up this fucking barber shop, and I want people to leave me alone.
You
No, I
know
won't
what's,
get coffee
you know
with
what's
you, pretty
funny?
woman.
You know what's funny is like I watched through the entire series, and then I went back and watched like the first couple episodes, where he's really conflicted, and he's like going and having sex, and like he's like this ladies man and stuff like that.
He's a
I'm like-
fucking.
I'm like, what?
pimp, but-
This- like,
I said I
forgot
didn't want to
he
be a
was this
hero. I
dude.
didn't say I didn't want to be a sex machine.
But see, that was one of the things that bothered me
man.
I
the
can
most.
still be a hero in bed.
Okay, so let's start with the
Frizzy
actor,
hair.
the actor that played Luke Cage. What's his name? Does anybody know his name off the top of your head?
I have
Do
it
we have
right
to
here.
go? Do we have to
It's,
IMDb it?
Mike
Yeah.
Coulter.
I like him a lot.
Mike, you like him a lot. Okay, see,
He's a
I
sexy
thought
black
he was I thought he looked the part 100%. He looks Luke Cage.
He could
But
get
his
breathy
acting-
sometimes.
His acting was shit though. It was like watching the charisma of a fucking wooden plank. Like it was so bad sometimes. Like the scenes he's supposed to have this emotion, he just was like, yeah, I guess I'm not a hero.
You got to do the breathing
The person, yeah.
and between each word.
Yeah. You know, so and so, Misty. I'm just not a hero. It's like exactly like that. Like everything. And I don't know, he just seems so wooden. And they tried to play him off as almost like this like Shaft character, like this ladies man.
That's what I mean in the first couple of
Yeah, but like what does he say? Like the first thing he says, like everything he says to a woman, it almost looks like the woman's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? like in the first scene when he's bartending and Miss Knight is there, right?
Yeah.
And he's talking to her and he's like, oh, you one of his girls or something? And she's like, nah, I don't know him. He's like, what is it? It says something like,
I like the
he likes girls.
I like the older girls.
No. This is what he said. This is what he says. He goes. Yeah, no, he likes those younger women. But me, he goes, me. I ponder a woman, and it's like you ponder a woman. What the fuck are you talking about, dude? I'm telling you what, it does not work. It does not make him look sexy. It doesn't make it look like he is hitting on this woman in like a very successful way. Like she even gives him a look like, what the fuck? And they even like make fun of it. I think like he keeps coming back to the whole ponder. I'll leave you to ponder that. Is it like he says like when he like leaves to go help what's her name upstairs? It's so weird. Every time he hits on a girl, like tries to like at the end, like I hear that Cubans are robust or something like that.
That's so
like when Rosario Dawson kept calling him corny.
Yeah. And then that became corny because then it's like you're the corniest. No, you're the corniest.
You know, so, I mean, so yeah, like, take a look at that relationship right at the end. That's why it was just such a contrast. That's why I went back and watched the first episode again because they're like high school or middle school couples like at the end with those two, and they're should I kiss him or no, we're just gonna like share these little. It's like being on the phone. No, you hang up. No, you hang up, and that kind of crap, right?
No,
and
you
go
get
back
coffee.
and look at it.
No,
and
you
like,
get coffee.
Yeah, and then you go back and he's got like animal sex with Misty and shit. It's like that one scene. It's like, what is this? It's like a totally different person.
It's like Cartman's relationship right now on South Park.
Yeah. I was thinking about that
really?
exactly.
I haven't watched the new season yet.
It's
cool,
really good.
It's cool, babe.
I didn't have as much of a problem with his acting because I totally got within the first episode that they're going for like a blaxploitation 70s vibe with the show, especially with the music. Like the music is like lots of funk, lots of jazz, like they made that really clear. So it didn't, and also I was already used to him from Jessica Jones because he's in that a lot. And so I didn't really, I mean, like, yeah, he's like brooding and fucking like kind of like wooden, but I feel like that's kind of his character. So it didn't really bug me. I wish that he emoted a little bit more than he did, especially later in the season when he's really fucking like actually facing some hardships, but it didn't bug me that much. What bugged me was that I had to compare it to Daredevil and Jessica Jones because it's the third Marvel Netflix show, and I didn't find a single like villain that I really thought was like interesting.
I like Cottonmouth.
And
like that's what I liked about Daredevil is like
Cottonmouth. I like interesting. I like the first half of the show way better than the second half.
Yeah, Cottonmouth's cool. Alfre Woodard is interesting, and she has a nice arc throughout the series, but she also was just really weak-willed and kind of stupid.
She never like I thought she was gonna take over, right? But then she just kind of like dingled around the rest of the time.
Yeah,
like she never like stood up and was like, "I'm my mother's daughter," and I'm and fucking calculated.
She just kind of was like, this gun feels good.
That was supposed to be the moment, right? When she kills.
I thought so, but then it didn't happen, and I was disappointed.
It literally
and then that
got
other
worse.
Guy stepped in.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I didn't like him. Diamondback.
Diamondback.
Yeah, Diamondback. He was just like,
I thought he was
monologuing.
Weak.
He was just monologued his way through the entire fucking show, and it's like
shut
up.
Yeah.
We get it. You read the Bible. Like, fuck off.
Every time I saw him, I just kept thinking, Mr. Glass in every time.
Motivation was really weak.
Yeah.
I will say though that the actor is phenomenal.
He is.
He's awesome.
Empire.
Yeah.
He's great. But yeah, I agree with you. What I hate is like one-dimensional villains. Like
he was boring.
You just have this one focus. You just dislike Luke Cage. Nothing else matters. And you're just trying to.
Also, he wants to control Harlem, which is like the motivation for every villain in these Marvel shows. Like, I want to control this part of New York. Like, fuck off, dude.
I don't know.
Hell's Kitchen isn't that big. I'm sorry, it's not. We're idiot.
They're like, we're not good enough villains to take over the world, so we're gonna pick a very specific
Exactly.
location. This city will be mine.
I want to know who's trying to get Queens, man. Who's gonna be the king of Queens?
No one. No one wants it.
No one
Cop,
wants Queens.
Jimmy
Mall
Blart, Mall Cop, like he'll try to take it
Yeah,
over. I don't know.
I guess every time I like watch one of these shows, I compare the villain to Wilson Fisk because he was like really well rounded. Like the way they introduced him, where he's like trying really nervously to ask that girl out at the art gallery, you know. And it's like they don't show him doing anything really evil for like a full episode after they introduce him. It's mostly just him being really self-conscious and just trying to go on a date with this girl. And then at the end, he fucking murders that dude with the car door. And you're like, oh shit, this guy's business. But like that was like such a good like introduction to a villain, just like humanizing him completely. And then showing him be evil and doing the
Wait,
things
who are
that
you
he really
talking
likes to
about?
do.
Wilson Fisk.
Wilson Fisk and Daredevil.
Daredevil.
Vincent D'Onofrio.
Okay. See, I haven't watched it. So.
Oh, okay. Well, spoiler alert. Yeah, he kills it out of the
We gotta
door.
do that one
Okay.
eventually too.
Oh, let's just go fuck yourself, Ella. Did you want to enjoy something? Too bad. It's a spoiler alert.
It's too bad. Everything's on the table here.
I mean, they tried to humanize Cottonmouth a little bit. I think that's why you sort of like Cottonmouth.
I dug him a lot more because he was a lot. He made mistakes. He made very human mistakes.
Yeah.
He was brash and he would fucking like fly off the handle. Whereas Diamondback was just super calculated and like no one ever got
He was
like
a cardboard
the
cutout.
upper hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I like, when they go back. I think one of the most shocking scenes in the show is when they go back and you see, was it Mama Mabel or something like that, clip that dude's finger off, like right in front of him, and then they make Cottonmouth go down there and kill him, and he comes back and he's all fucked up and he's just playing the piano. Like I think that's why I think a lot of us enjoyed Cottonmouth a lot more than
Diamondback's backstory is like I'm the fucking like the secret child of a pastor, and he never treated me like a father should.
Well, it's like a stepbrother.
like
So I set
not-
up an intricate web work of fucking Game of Thrones level plot that would play out. It's like, come on.
That's totally true.
It's pretty fucked up. I mean, he went to prison, right? Because he was framed by Diamondback. But now here's the question I had. Did everything that happened to him in the prison, was that a result of Diamondback?
No, he was surprised.
No, that was
No.
Yeah, that was unrelated.
Yeah, that was totally unrelated.
I know the powers were unrelated, but like I don't know. That whole thing was kind of confusing to me. Like, how much did Reva?
I think that was an
have a
unrelated
hand
government
in?
program or secret program, something.
But how are you like able to take somebody back to that? Like at the end of the show, like how is that still up and running and still like a legitimate prison and stuff when you know that it's got like experiments on fucking inmates and it's videotaped, like all
I don't know. It's like, how does anything like that go on, like Weapon X and shit?
I don't know. I just feel like if I was Luke Cage at the end of that, and if I knew I was innocent after just fucking like saving Harlem and like being just treated like a fucking asshole the whole way through. If some guy came up to me and is like, hey, we're Marshal so-and-so, we're going to take you back to prison. I'd be like, go fuck yourself. I just saved the town. Like, did you not see everything? And he's like, I've got to take a step back to go forward. I got to do this the right way. I would be looking for that fucking fucking notebook thing. Like, he didn't even look for it. It pops fucking like a barbershop. He's not like, hey man, by the way, there's a full folder of my innocence just like right around the corner.
I feel like if he was really like a reasonably real character, then like the entirety of Harlem would just be like rubble, and people would be like, what the fuck? They'd be like, well, he's still looking for that notebook, so he's everything.
Yeah.
The
it's like, if it was my freedom, I'd at least go take a fucking look at the barbershop, see if I could find it.
I just think the whole notion of him potentially going back to prison was stupid. Because I mean, this guy is bulletproof. He's super strong. It's literally like putting Superman in prison.
It's like, I give my permission.
Exactly. It's like, Mister, don't worry about it. Like, I'll go with them.
Are they gonna pull a Magneto and make a specific prison that can house him or some shit like that?
They would have to, wouldn't they?
I mean, that's just ridiculous. In the whole Cottonmouth scene, and this is like one of the few scenes I just hated between the two of them, where like right before he dies, right, he has that scene with Luke Cage and he's like, oh, I know who you are, you know what I mean? And you're my bitch now, basically, you know, that whole thing. I'm like, are you serious? No, I mean, come on. I mean, that's ridiculous. So that whole dynamic right there was kind of crazy.
I was looking forward to Cottonmouth not dying suddenly.
Yeah.
Fucking, I was looking forward to a whole season of escalations, like between Luke Cage and them, like going back and forth, and like, you know, all the intricate shit that would go along with that. But then it was just like, well, just kill Cottonmouth and have this one-dimensional dude come in and like be a jerk and punch people.
And how he died too. It was supposed to be a very dramatic moment for Mariah.
I mean,
but
it was definitely shocking.
It was dramatic.
It was shocking, but it just, I don't know. It just seemed like such an inappropriate end for somebody who
I would have really liked to have seen her step up and be like this fucking, like, I accept my destiny as the daughter of this woman who like was once the most like cold calculating bitch ever. Yeah. And then she would be like amazing at strategy and fucking like be way more deadly and scary than Cottonmouth ever was. That's what I was looking forward to, and it didn't happen.
Yeah, like somehow she held him back. Like she held him, like it's the show shows you that it's very apparent that he held her back and that he was making a lot of mistakes. And that even with his past, it would make a lot of sense because she raised him basically. So everything that he is a part of her as well. And he doesn't do it as well as she does. You know, like that's what I was hoping for too. I'm right there with you on that. 100%. All you get at the end is like you cringe a little bit when she kisses what's his name, and you're just like, please don't tap.
I know
that is not sexy. That is a grandma. Like you don't like. If she was running for president, I would be like, she doesn't have the stamina. All right, like when he kisses her, I was just like, ugh. Like at least give him a caramel after.
Shades was kind of like an inexplicably bad character. I don't understand him at all.
Yeah. I like that actor, but
I like him too. I do.
And like I thought like there were a lot of moments that he had where he was like really interesting, like when he was explaining to her how they're gonna cover up the murder that she committed. Like he was like super.
I kept waiting for his personal gain, but he was like all pro everyone else.
Yeah, that's
he was like number two. He's like number two to everybody. Like he never got a chance.
Like even Varys has like secret like reasons for being like pro people. You know, from Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
The
spider.
I was like, what?
Yeah, sorry. I was like, where's he go? I was like, who did I not?
Is that how you pronounce that name? I guess that's how you pronounce it.
I think my favorite scene with Shades is when he gets bailed out of prison and they're on the elevator and they go to kill him. And you really think he's dead. Like I thought he was dead. I'm like, okay, they're choking him out. He's fucked. And I'm like, man, they're really drawing this choke scene out.
He pulls some fucking John Wick moves on them.
Yeah, and then he grabs the dude's gun and gets out of it. It's like, damn, man. It's at least like he had some cool scenes. A lot of these scenes that you watch, like a lot of the combat scenes, are all very they're very meticulous the way they shoot them, and you can't really see as much as you'd like. It's always in shadows or
Hollywood shaky cam, like quick editing, which I didn't dig because like Daredevil set a precedent for like the fight scenes. Like they have some like they have a couple like long take fight scenes where it's one continuous shot of him just like wrecking dudes, and so like I was expecting it to be like they would like be, you know, this is like what 4 years after they did Daredevil, like they would have like way more like money to work with. But I get it because it's like Luke Cage is not a martial artist; he's a brawler, like he's a boxer. So like they're not well choreographed; they're very clunky. He has to like people jump on him, he has to throw them off and stuff. I got that and I dug it, but I was expecting more gravitas to the fucking fight scenes. Like the only fight scene that really impressed me was where he busted into Fort Knox to the door.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That was really cool. But then like everything else was just like standard like Hollywood punching and then someone goes down. Like
and it was very robotic too. Like it was like grab, throw, and then like bump into this guy. And then I walk over here, throw this guy. It's like, it looked choreographed, which I don't like. When I watch a fight scene in something, I don't want to go, oh, this is choreographed. It's very clear.
You haven't seen Daredevil season 1 or 2 yet, Adam?
I haven't watched that.
You're gonna enjoy the shit out of Punisher.
Yeah. It's the choreography of the fight.
He does amazing choreography in some parts. Prison.
Okay, I'll have to check it out because that definitely bothered me. And you know what else I noticed about the show too? I don't know. There was a lot of little weird like continuity issues and like set props that didn't work well. Like in the scene where the guy's coming down the stairs and he like grabs him and throws him against the wall and then grabs the gun and like tosses the gun after he like bends it or whatever. It's like an AK-47. The gun hits the ground with the weight, and this is very nitpicky, but it falls to the ground with the weight of what you would assume a plastic prop AK-47.
Was it the visual or the sound design?
It's the sound. It's the sound that got me. It's the sound like it hit, and it was like you know, like clank and whatever. I'm like, AK-47s are fucking heavy, man. If you bend one and throw it to the ground, it's gonna make a thud. Like it's really heavy. It just was weird. And there's a couple other things like that, like where the props were like either really cheap or the sounds were off on the props, or there was a scene at the end where one of the guys is singing one of the weirdest songs on there. I liked most of the music, but some of the music I thought was weird. It was the scene where Diamondback is listening. He's like, this is a good song. And it's the guy who sounds like a woman when he's singing. They were practicing beforehand. It's three guys and they look like almost like Destiny's Child, right? Almost. Yeah. There's a scene where like he's singing and it's like full volume, and then he puts the mic up to his mouth to keep singing, but you've been hearing it at the same volume the same time. It's like little things like that bothered me, and it was weird. It was just I could throw out more examples, but I think I've made my point. Some of the continuity was just strange, and some of the props.
Yeah, sound stuff like that bugs me a lot. Like, the first teaser for that new Star Wars movie coming out had like some weird shit where it was like obviously like stuff people said was edited from different scenes together, and it was like fucking ruined it for me.
Yeah. The teaser was like great, but then like whatever the last trailer was that like gave a lot of Mads Mikkelsen's fucking background. Yeah, it was a lot of like over editing and like overlapping dialogue with scenes that clearly don't belong.
Can we diverge for a moment and just say that Logan trailer was one of the best edited trailers I've seen in a long time?
That was fantastic.
That was
really absolutely fantastic. And I'm liking the direction. It's obviously taking cues from Old Man Logan, the comic series, which is fantastic.
Did you see it yet, Ellohime?
No, I don't watch a lot of trailers. Like I just like to start things pure.
It's
and I don't
worth
like to,
seeing the trailer. Trust me.
So what is it? Wolverine? Is it a Wolverine?
It's
a new Wolverine movie.
Wolverine, yeah.
Oh, really?
But he's
because
like
I remember
old,
reading
like,
his origin story. You know, like it was pretty awesome.
It reminded me of like Little Miss Sunshine, but like Little Miss Mutant Shine.
Oh my
it looks like Wolverine, Professor Xavier, and a little new mutant girl go on a fucking road trip. Is what the movie looks like. It looks like a fucking Oscar bait drama. It looks like an Oscar bait drama. Ellohime, you really should see the trailer.
It really does.
Check it out.
I don't know if it looks like Little Miss Sunshine, but
it looks like one of those independent movies, right?
It looks like an indie movie for sure.
Going on a road trip of self-discovery, but except there's a fucking agency chasing us.
And then he becomes Wolverine at the end with his claws and everything.
And then the creepy grandpa makes the kid dance really provocatively for a 12-year-old.
Spoiler!
Little Miss Sunshine.
But this old man makes her mentally makes her dance.
Okay, we're going off.
Yeah, let's get back. So what did you guys think about Misty, the character?
I liked her. She was my favorite character. Hands down. She had the best dialogue, and she had the best like character moments, like when she was getting interrogated and she finally breaks down about how being like helpless made her feel. I thought that was like she was the most well-rounded character.
Yeah, she was.
And I'd honestly just rather see a show about her at this point. Like, I don't know if they can give her powers or something, or like if that would even make her more interesting. But like, she definitely had more. She had more to do. It felt like she had bigger issues to deal with than than Luke Cage did, you know. And she was the one that was like desperately trying to piece all this together with knowing nothing. And yeah, I liked her. I felt like her reaction to her partner being killed was a little over dramatic, but because we only got to see them like together as partners like a handful of times before that happened, you know. So like their history, which apparently spanned like 5 years or whatever she said, was not really, you didn't really get that. So like it didn't portray that as well, so that her reaction to him dying was as impactful, I guess.
So did she actually have a gift of being able to see things that actually happen, or was it just?
I want to say that they're hinting that she has some sort of like telepathy something that she probably isn't even aware of. Like, I don't know, like kind of like a spider sense, or like Daredevil's like, like enhanced like hearing and shit. Like maybe she has something, but like they didn't really get into it.
It's weird because I think honestly that she doesn't. I think they just did scenes like that to be sort of Boondock Saint-ish.
Yeah.
And I think it was just showing her looking at the pictures and how she gets engrossed in her detective skills. Because I looked up Misty Knight. I looked up a lot of the heroes that pop up because there's a lot of references and stuff, and I just want to learn. So, but she has absolutely zero abilities as far as mental abilities. Like she has no telepathy, she's got no astral projection, like she can be places or like within pictures or anything. Like she has none of that in the comics to speak of at all. So
like
I think it was
her in the bath in the prison, give her some power.
Yeah, I think it was just I think it was just for the way they shot it. I don't think that she's actually there, which was
she's
really
just a really
confusing.
talented cop. Is like
Which was really confusing for me because I thought that she had some sort of power and maybe she didn't even realize she had it. But no, apparently she's just like a really crazy martial artist and a marksman, and she's got a lot of natural abilities, and she's got a bionic arm from Tony Stark, which a lot of people don't know from just watching the show. That's actually like her main power. She doesn't apparently have the frame to support lifting heavy things, but she can crush things and later gets a particle cannon and shit on it and all sorts of stuff. They kind of hint at it when she takes that big injury to her arm, like it got shot. And here's another thing too. Not anybody who knows anything about first aid or triage or any of that shit, if you tourniquet something, that limb is gone.
Yeah,
that's it. That's all there is. There's no maybe or whatever. If he's like, oh, I was in the military, I'm doing a tourniquet, I'm like, oh, so she's gonna lose that fucking arm is what you're saying. And then he tightens it later, like makes more emphasis to go like, I've got to tighten it. Basically what you're doing, you're cutting off all the blood to the whole arm. You can't have an arm after that. But she did miraculously. Not only did she miraculously have an arm after that, but she was able to draw a gun with it and aim it in like lightning speed.
She recovered incredibly quickly.
She did. Yeah, she was like back on the scene like that night later. Like
it was just in
all the color had come back to her face and shit. Like she was just like fine.
It's like she had
she went around a little arm brace and then she was just like,
exactly.
Fuck it, man. Let's just lose the arm brace. Why are we even pretending? There's a scene when she walks in when they come to parlay with him to give him the folder and say, hey, leave us alone. We'll give you this folder that proves your innocence. They pull a gun on each other right there, Shades and Misty Knight, and they basically like right at the same time. And I'm like, didn't she just get a bullet through her arm like an episode or two ago? Like, what's going on with that? So it was really weird. Again, that was another one of those continuity things I was talking about, where it's like, if you tourniquet an arm, you lose it. That's all there is to it. But she didn't, and it was all okay, I guess. So I get that you gotta, just suspend your belief at a certain point. But I mean, we're still within the realm of realism for the most part. But let me talk about this. How strong is Luke Cage? Like where does he draw the line? Like, is he as strong?
I think he can lift like a taxi cab, but he can't lift a truck.
Nick, did your mic go weird?
Yeah, I think your mic kind of just changed mode.
Yeah.
What?
It almost sounds like you're a different
It sounds
device.
hollower.
Yeah.
I muted myself. I don't know why that would do that.
Yeah, you might want to double check.
How about that? Is that better?
No, it sounds the same.
Yeah, it's just different.
I actually have the answer, but I just want to know if you guys. I have the answer.
So taxi versus truck. I mean,
Like,
lifting.
how
We're talking about
strong
like we're talking about
throw a
pressing
car
it.
at someone.
Let's just say, how many tons do you think Luke Cage can lift?
I don't know. Like I wouldn't even know how many tons a regular person
Let's
can
say like a car. Let's say like
I'd
a car is a ton or a truck is a
Yeah,
ton.
I'd say 2 tons.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd say car.
Okay. The answer actually is 25 to 70 tons he can actually lift.
What?
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
No.
In the comics, yes, he has that much strength. His skin is incredibly durable, which you guys see, obviously. But it's weird because they show him to have like certain weaknesses in this and I guess in Jessica Jones that he doesn't have in the comic books. So like, for instance, his eyes are a point of weakness.
I think it's picking up your.
Yeah, it's picking up your.
I can
It's,
hear
it's,
you
it's like
typing.
your webcam
Because-
mic or something.
What the fuck?
Yeah, it's like everything switched.
I muted and unmuted. Fuck you, Discord. You suck, dude.
But yeah, it's
How's that?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
there you
you're
go.
perfect.
There
You're
you go.
perfect now.
Okay.
There you
For some
go.
reason, the black magic just decided to start working. I don't know what the hell. Okay, fuck it.
Yeah,
We're good,
so
we're
I don't know.
Gucci.
It's weird because like they talk about how they went behind his eye or they went through his eyes to drain his brain when it was blasted with a shotgun blast.
Yeah.
So you have to contend that his eyes is a point of weakness. If you were to be shot in his eyes, what would happen? You know, that kind of thing. These always kind of confound me in these shows because there's this like two levels, right? Where you have like the consistency of the character and then you have the events of the show. You know, like, and kind of lining these two up in a superhero whatever, you know, it makes it difficult sometimes because again, continuity issues. It's like shotgun blast to the head is not as powerful as a car running into you. You know, like the car, he was just fine. His clothes didn't even get ripped when the car ran into him. He was totally fine. But like a shotgun blast to the head, like caused him to possibly die, you know, or like dipping him in acid, you know, like that whole scene was just like clusterfuck to me. Like they didn't know what the fuck they were doing. It's like burn him, put acid on him.
They were like trying to just. It was mad science.
yeah, yeah.
I don't know. Put some whipped cream in there.
Well, how does he have that? How does he have that much acid on him? I mean, this is like a giant, bad like you know, pool or jacuzzi worth of this type of acid that's supposed to just like melt his skin.
Boiling acid.
And yeah, I don't even know how somebody even has that much around, especially in a barn. Just
I mean,
in
that
the back
dude
of
lives
your
alone,
house.
probably just like hangs out in his barn experimenting with acid all day. Like, I believe it. The guy was kind of a loon, you know.
I guess so.
One
but-
day, Luke Cage will show up at my house begging for help, and I'll be ready.
I have all these rabbit traps on my property. I try to make them invincible after I catch them.
Can you imagine
just-
that?
It's just so
Superhero
weird. That scene
farm.
was so weird. Like
He
just
was a
everything
weird guy.
about that scene was weird. It's like I'm just
Make
gonna
it
throw this thing into this acid to electrocute him. Like, does electricity go through acid like it does
That
water?
was hilarious.
I think
Like-
any liquid's a
And why
conductor.
didn't the mask he was wearing dissolve?
Well,
they had the fucking oxygen.
Well, I mean,
mask
that's
on.
like.
no,
Have you ever
it's
seen
the
like
rubber
Breaking
gloves.
Bad?
yeah.
Have you ever
Yeah,
seen like
rubber-
Breaking Bad, where it's like
yeah.
certain plastics
Gross
don't
rubber.
melt under?
It's boiling. I don't care.
I don't know how
It's gonna
she-
fucking dissolve something.
Yeah, it was.
It's gonna fuck up the
God.
plastic on the mask. I don't care if it's fucking superheated boiling acid.
I just felt like they're like at a certain point they're like, okay, so we have him shot with the Judas bullet. It's inside of him. How are we gonna get it out, team? And like the writers were like, we'll throw him in acid and electrocute him, and then put him on fire and boil him, and
salt too.
we need salt.
The
And we
salt,
need
yeah,
salt.
that's
They
right.
basically
I feel like
Cage into a fucking lobster, and they fucking boiled his ass.
it was like
It was a
third grade
gumbo,
science
man. It
class.
was a
Like,
Duke
all right,
Cage
what happens
gumbo.
when we
Yeah.
do this, kids? Oh, you know, like
Then
I
the other
think
side, then the other scientist goes to her. He's like, you're brilliant. Imagine what we could do together.
I know,
It's like,
right?
what do you mean she's
Potential.
brilliant? She's just throwing electricity and acid.
Yeah,
and shit.
she's doing shit.
Throwing radios in there. I don't know. No,
Seriously.
actually, what was it? I forget what she threw in there.
It was like a big light. It was like
It was a
wasn't
light.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like a big light. She just threw it in there, man, and it's like, god damn.
She's like a nurse,
that-
right? Like
That was the perfect time for the
oh
Wolverine
yeah, they
cameo
only
to cut him.
took out one bullet, although he was shot with two.
yeah, in the
or were they
arms,
just not
yeah.
worrying about the one that was in his shoulder because it's just a shoulder?
Yeah, they just totally ignored
It's
that.
just a
Well,
shoulder.
they said something about that there. They said that like the rest of his body could heal, like the one in his shoulder could have.
I
break
imagine it was
down
the
or
one in his
whatever.
stomach was actually like that. Organs were there, you know, like the shoulder bullet probably was just like fuck it, whatever.
Can we
Yeah,
just
that's that one.
give it like a slow clap to the fact that she performed surgery in a vat of acid? Like, it's like you are
Good
the
job,
greatest
Ryan
surgeon. You did it. Like you did surgery in acid. You're the best.
I just feel like it's a lost opportunity to have Wolverine cameo. And he with the adamantium
Oh.
cut into Luke Cage.
It
like,
did look like
surgically.
it. It did look
Oh,
like
yeah.
it. It did kind of
Little tip, by the way, or little trivia. Okay, Misty Knight, when she gets her beam cannon for her arm, like when Tony Stark hooks her up, it can melt adamantium. It's fucking insane. Like
Cool.
her hand cannon is like insane, like insanely strong.
Can it melt Luke
So
Cage?
she's Metroid. She's
Can it melt what?
Can she melt
Can
Luke
it melt?
Cage though? I mean,
Yeah.
if she can melt.
Oh yeah.
Luke-
Oh yeah.
Okay.
What about steel beams?
She can melt whoever. Okay.
Oh,
And then I
man.
remember steel beams and jet fuel can't melt steel beams. But
Misty Knight can.
But Misty Knight can, yeah.
Yeah. So
Oh,
I mean, with
geez.
Misty, what do you think about that the entire episode was her with a shrink? What do you think about that? The one where she was sitting in the interview room, right? And she's basically
That was
talking to
one
the
of the
doctor.
better.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of the better episodes. That was one I liked the most because you get a lot of Misty Knight.
Yeah, the
like, her
background. That was
character
basically her
opening up
background.
and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good. I dug it.
I liked the person interviewing her. He seemed like a cool cop guy that was there to do his job, and he was just like no nonsense. Like
What bugged me though is that he brought those fucking 2 cans of the lemonade and neither of them drank it. That bugs me so much in movies and TV shows where someone sits down at a bar, orders a drink, has a conversation, and then leaves without fucking like drinking any of it. It's like, why did you're just wasting money. You're just
no, but it was,
No,
it
that
was
was the point.
to trigger.
That was the point
There was
to
the
the
point was to
lemonade,
trigger
yeah.
the emotional memory of her and the lemonade.
Yeah,
that
the
way, it
lemonade.
wasn't ever meant to be consumed. It was meant
That
to
just
trigger.
bothers
something.
me. It was just
I
a
get it.
fucking. It was just a brand plug. Like, all right, Simple Time Lemonade.
Oh,
Here
I
we
see
go.
what you mean. Okay.
Yeah, like make sure
I
it's
can
in
see that.
frame and the logo's facing the camera.
The funniest part about that whole scene, I did like it too, but the funniest part was that the whole scene started with him basically telling her you have control issues, or you have to have everything in control. And then they go through basically an hour's worth of episode, and at the end she just like looks at him and is like, I have control issues, and she's sort of breaking down.
All right,
Like,
you got me. I don't like being out of control.
that was pretty funny.
True. It's so true. I did like that episode though a lot. I think that she probably was one of the best actors on the show.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think so too.
I thought that especially her emotional range at the end when she realized that she fucked up and it's nobody else's fault but her.
Oh, about
that,
what's her name
and
being
Mariah
killed.
walks away, and like to see
Candace,
her,
yeah. Mhm.
like her eyes and just her breakdown. That acting was insane. I was like, that's what a person looks like when they have nowhere to go. They can't excuse anything else. They have to take the blame, and they understand the consequences of their actions. Like, that was a crazy scene. I think the only other scene that I liked more than that acting wise was probably, and even though I kind of railed on him a little bit for being kind of stiff, was when Luke Cage initially gets shot. I think it's almost like this, oh, hey, I'm bleeding. Oh, wait, my stomach has a hole. Oh, I'm hurt. Like, oh, shit, I'm shot. I'm fucking shot. I'm going down.
Really? Shot? God damn it.
Yeah, it was like this confusing, like painful, like shocking, like what kind of situation. I thought he did perfect with it.
Yeah.
Like, I thought that was the only other time in the show that I thought like the acting was superb.
So only in this kind of comic book that you can have a bullet that drills into you and then explodes. I mean, that's insane.
Well, it's funny because you don't see the drilling aspect of it happen on Luke Cage, because I think what it is it can't drill into him. Like, it can penetrate him.
Cells will they're constantly contracting, and essentially, so the explosion didn't happen.
Well, the explosion happened, but it kind of was like almost like a contained. Like it's almost like if you like in movies when they put the silencer in the pillow and pull the trigger, that kind of thing happened in his stomach. But there's no like drilling effect. Because if you see him hit somewhere else, it was like zzz, boom.
Yeah.
You did hear the little muffled, inside of him, and that's when he's like, oh, fucking shit, But the second bullet didn't do that at all. I didn't hear. And what was up with him getting in the back of a garbage truck, and the garbage truck just drives off? Like why didn't Diamondback like shoot at the garbage truck and be like, hey man, like fucking stop, I'll kill you? Like he's just like, yeah.
Probably because those bullets are like $5 million each or whatever.
Yeah, probably.
No, man.
The classic,
this is a guy that's known for like throwing knives. Like that was his thing. Diamondback he had great knife skills. He could throw knives and stuff. I mean, I just seemed weird that like gunshots, and then he falls in the back of the garbage truck, and the garbage truck guy like is totally oblivious to it. He's like, well, gotta go to my next route, like foiled by a garbage truck. My only weakness.
I gotta sort this paper, plastic, Luke Cages.
Which bin does he fall into?
Where does he go in?
Yeah.
Oh.
God, man.
So
But it's like that's what got between his revenge. Like all the revenge, all the hatred, everything was like a garbage truck drove.
Yeah.
Like
So-
it's kind of weird.
So Bikeman, what'd you think of Diamondback's suit at the end and just the whole final battle?
I thought it was like really stupid. I'm sorry.
Mhm.
They had like all.
Yeah.
But where's my obvious weak point? Oh, the power pack on my back. Well, don't punch that though.
But he didn't. He didn't end up punching it. He just
I
drained
know.
him of power. That was. I thought for sure he was gonna just grab that power pack and just.
I
rip
thought he
it
was gonna
off.
smash it with something and like
Yeah.
crack it, or like break his battery, which was like. If you put like a power pack on someone that is like obviously like the weak point and like the source of the suit's like power, like why would you make it like flash with lights and make noises and shit like they did? It's like it's like a Zelda boss.
Yeah.
Throw bombs into this thing. The fuck, man! And then they were like, "No, I'm just gonna like let him punch me until he's tired and he needs a nap."
Yeah, it was weird. It was such a weird thing. Like the whole scene was weird. Like they tried to build it up for this like fight for Harlem. I didn't feel that way at all, man. Like I just felt like these two crazy dudes in the middle of the street just brawling at excessive power. Like so weird. Yeah, but I agree. It was it's like in Left 4 Dead, like when it's like or not Left 4 Dead, Dawn of the Dead or whatever. You know that gun, like the gun shooting game that's like at like every fucking movie theater it used to be. House of the Dead. That's it.
Okay,
House of the Dead.
yeah.
It's like this is his weak point, like right
Yeah,
here.
right
The little circles.
Yeah,
Zoom in
it
on that
shows
point.
you.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, he didn't
Continue.
even punch it. He was just, I guess his strategy was just to let him beat the shit out. But he mentioned like his strategy was when he was fighting back, this guy was like using his hatred. It's his hatred was kind of fueling him. So when he just let him beat on him for a while, it didn't fuel him anymore.
No, I think it was. It was more of a kinetic thing. Like when he hit his suit, he was able to generate.
It was
power.
a metaphor battle.
Yeah.
What? I thought
It was a
literal.
metaphor
I thought
battle.
it was
It was
actual
a
literal.
metaphor battle because he's like, the hatred will burn itself out, right? Like, and I let him punch me, but my pacifism defeated him in the end. Like it's like, okay, I get what you're doing, writers. But holy fucking shit!
Because I'm Luke Cage, I'm not a hero. I'm just a guy pondering for women.
And breathing
Ponder.
between words.
Oh man, what makes me a little sad is my ignorance to the whole like blaxploitation kind of film, because I feel like if I had an appreciation and I understood that better, I think I would probably like the show more.
Yeah,
So-
having seen like a few blaxploitation films in my day, like I grabbed onto that immediately, and so I dug the vibe they were going for, totally understood it. Love the music. I love the sequences
music
where like
too.
people are practicing at the club and they like do like really good like tracks, and then they do montages of shit going on in the city and stuff. I thought those are really, really neat sequences.
How about the cameo from Method Man too, just out of nowhere?
Dude, did you hear that rap he did? That was fucking awesome. That was probably off the top of his head. No, that was weird. It was kind of cool, but kind of weird. I like how at least it put kind of a different spin on getting Luke Cage out of the negative public eye. Because that was one thing that I thought was kind of rushed and kind of not really explained, is how everyone was so willing to be like, we hate Luke Cage, to, Luke Cage, you're our hero, so I'm glad they at least had like the bullet hoodies, with the bullet holes in them and stuff like that. It was kind of like showing how, in Method Man, obviously having, such a huge reputation, getting on a popular radio show, and telling them that Luke Cage is
representing
awesome.
the community, basically.
Yeah. I liked that. So I feel like he played a part in it, but at the same time, I feel like he was just out of nowhere. It's like, here's
It's true. It's like, hey, what's up, man? It's like, all right, cool.
I like Wu-Tang.
Yeah,
It's like, okay, cool,
Wu-Tang.
man.
Wu-Tang for life. Yeah.
What else haven't we talked about yet? I feel like there's a lot we haven't talked about.
We didn't talk about Pops, but like just that whole initial sequence.
I liked
It was
him.
pretty
He
short
was
though. I
cool.
thought he
I
was
like
great
Pops.
too.
I like
Yeah.
Pops.
I like this motivation for doing stuff.
He was, and like they gave him enough time so that when he did die, and like the fucking outrage of that happening with every character, even villains were like, dude, Pops was cool, like I thought that was cool. So it made it resonated throughout the series. Like Pops was a very positive figure in everyone's lives who came from a very dark background. Like he changed his life up and was trying to be a positive thing for the community. So I feel like he got enough time. Like he got more time than the fucking partner did to develop. Like, okay, I really miss this character, and I understand why these characters.
Good death scene
character.
Yeah.
Oh,
actually,
like he did that thing where like he rambled. Yeah, he did like rambled something, but like it was realistic.
Yeah, it looked really good. I like that his backstory made him out as sort of very involved in all the criminal activity and stuff in Harlem, which makes a lot of sense why, his barbershop is Switzerland, is because he still has that respect from the people he was associated with. He has long ties with these people, and I thought that his character out of everybody was probably the most believable or like had the most depth, I think that his probably resonated more with me than everybody else's kind of backstory.
Fucking Turk.
Yeah,
No
fuck
kidding.
Turk. But I like Turk. Turk is like the old school guy. He was just kind of I like when he goes to collect his money. He's like, hey, guy, like he just shows up on that rooftop.
Yeah.
Like, hey,
I
guys,
know, right?
Where's my money?
Turk's just doing business.
Yeah. He's like throws him off. Oh, that's the guy you need money from? Well, go get your money from him downstairs on top of the car. And he's like, man, I'm going back to Hell's Kitchen. This place is crazy.
At least it's safe there. That was what he said.
Yeah, at least it's safe.
At least it's safe.
No, go back to Hell's Kitchen where it's safe. I was like, that's good. That's good.
The other guy bothered me.
Bobby Fischer.
Yeah, the Bobby Fish guy.
Yeah.
Because it's like every time he talked, he had to relate it to chess. We get it. You play chess, man. Like we get it. It's a big part of your life. Like he's like, well, cheesy. First of all, you have Mariah. She's like a bishop. She's gonna come at you sideways, and then you got so he does that like a couple scenes.
He's trying to bring it back.
Yeah, it's
like
weird.
that guy trying to bring Spirograph back in The Simpsons.
No, he does it like a couple of times. We're like, we get it, man. You're really into chess. This is how you relate with the world. But I before we continue on from Pops, I like how Pops had a hand in a lot of the characters' lives in different capacities. Yeah. It's like for Luke Cage, he didn't even know him growing up. Like he was Reva's, one of Reva's friends or mentors or whatever. Like Luke Cage didn't even know him. He showed up afterwards, like seeking kind of asylum from escaping prison. And he looked out for him. And then you had Misty Knight, who grew up with them, and a lot of those guys who grew up with them. And I liked his philosophy of trying to – I love the scene where he's explaining his strategy to get young black men off the street and how they're too proud to say they need help. So you have to, like, trick them into coming in with video games and, like, building up a rapport first. Like, it was very interesting because I think it resonated with the culture. I think that's probably very true.
He's like the boys' club of of Harlem, basically.
Yeah. I didn't want to skip without at least saying that I think it was believable. I think it made a lot of sense. And I liked his kind of philosophy on things. So
yeah, his funeral scene was really good too. Like when both the Cottonmouth and Luke Cage are basically there to show pay respects, and they get up there and talk to and. Again, it's like kind of a Switzerland moment, right? Where everybody just puts aside their differences and just gives tribute to somebody that they respect or whatnot.
But there was some dick measuring there, right?
There was.
They were just getting up there just strictly for pop. There was definitely like a 1-2 punch back and forth to each other. But can I be honest? I really thought Cottonmouth's speech was better.
I did too. I did too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Cottonmouth seemed to really kind of be a little bit more charismatic. Again, the charisma thing that I just felt the character was lacking. And then he got up there and everyone was like, Luke Cage, stand up. Oh my God, he got him. Oh
standing
shit.
ovation. Good speech.
That sounds like a presidential debate right there.
God, man.
Wrong.
Wrong.
He just gets up there and shouting wrong at him.
Wrong.
What Cottonmouth did is a disaster. It's a disaster.
He's a nasty man. He's a nasty man.
Bad hombre, man. Bad hombres. But
I also liked how everybody kind of in Harlem kind of knew what's up. In fact, I left the show more interested in Harlem than anything else. I think I want to know more about Harlem and probably will look up Harlem's history a little bit more and not be so ignorant to things that happen there and stuff. Because I think they made Harlem interesting in the show, and you guys can agree or disagree, but that's how I feel anyways.
I actually don't know much about Harlem either. I mean, I know there's like vast history, but yeah, to actually know the details of it, very, very little too. How about you guys? You guys know much? Historian? Are you guys historians at all? No.
Nope.
No. I mean, they pretty much said I've always considered it to be one of the hubs of, I guess what you would say, African American creatism, you know, like or art, you know, and so I've always known that of it, but. You know, when they start throwing out names, I ask myself, are those really historical names that they're throwing out, or are those names of people just kind of in the show? You know, and the fact that I don't know if these people are real or not is ignorant. So I probably need to just go look it up. You know, I think he actually mentioned it during the funeral. He says, "Oh, you know, I'm from Harlem." He started listing out a bunch of people like great historical figures of Harlem, and I had no idea who any of them were. So.
All right. Well, should we try to bring on some people here? Let me see if Mucky. I think we might have one here. Let me double check with them. Maybe bring up one other thing.
I think I still have the link for it. There you go. Boom.
All right.
Are they setting up for doing a call?
Yeah. We're gonna set up for doing a call. We actually have a caller in the channel. Let's see. Actually, this guy hasn't said anything. Oh, no. So you link the Discord in there.
I did.
Addiction, if you can.
Yeah, and you guys don't have to ask a question. You guys can come on and just
give your thoughts.
Something we didn't talk about,
totally.
Or something you liked, something you didn't like. Whatever, man. You guys can pretty much do whatever. And if getting on the show is a little bit too intimidating, feel free to ask it in the chat, and we'll grab it out of the chat. I know there's a lot of things.
Yeah, anybody who has a question, why don't we just answer one right now? Anybody who has a question in the Twitch chat, go ahead and...
What, you have one right now?
And write it down. No, I'm just saying, like, if there is one in Twitch chat, go ahead.
Oh, there is one.
Folks in Twitch chat.
Well, somebody said they're a little surprised that the show didn't mention the Hulk smashed the shit out of Harlem when he fought Abomination. When is that, like... timelined into this properly? Like, I had no idea that
that happened in the Incredible Hulk, which is technically part of the MCU, but that was fucking 10 years ago. So I feel like they would. I don't know.
Was that the Edward Norton one?
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
There were so many that I feel like they just kept experimenting with different Hulks.
I like that one better than the Eric Bana one for sure.
Oh yeah, I think everybody appreciated.
Yeah, that one was just sorrowful. Just sad.
Yeah, that was terrible.
That was hurtful. I thought when they said that what's his name? Mark Ruffalo, is that it? That plays
Yeah.
I was like
one.
Yeah. I was like, that's the worst ever. And then I saw him Avengers, and I saw him and I was like, oh my god, he's really good actually with Hulk. Like he does really well.
He's just a good actor.
Apparently, he's gonna have like a big part in Thor Ragnarok. Like they're doing Planet Hulk stuff with them and shit.
Oh, awesome! That should be.
Yeah, it's gonna be like a Hulk and Thor movie, not just a Thor movie.
Cool. They play off each other.
Yeah, totally. Can't kill each other. Basically, it's amazing. Okay.
So, did they ever explain what the Judas bullet was comprised of? I looked it up, and it's some people say that it's. Because it says that it's an alien metal. The only alien metal in the Marvel universe that most people know about is vibranium or something like that, which came from a meteor. And it's the same thing that's used for Captain America's shield and like Black Panther's outfit.
You think there'd be a lot of alien metal lying around after the invasion from this guy?
That's what I was thinking too. But apparently this particular metal, and it was surmised, nobody's really come forward and said, yep, that's it, is this like opposite vibranium metal that came with vibranium, which is like a really weird, like vibranium uses vibrations or whatever, but this actually like contains them and it causes like implosions, which is kind of weird. But it's called like an somebody in the chat might know better than me, who's like a super nerd. Interactive vibranium or something like that. It was weird because I was thinking like, it's like the opposite. Instead of taking instead of taking the vibrations in, it releases them, something like that. But it never talks about what the Judas bullets are actually made out of. So I was wondering if anybody had an idea in the chat, or if you guys had any idea.
So
yes, everyone's like yes.
Beats me.
Or like adamantium, or like what? I mean, what high-powered bullet could penetrate? Again, this goes back to like my thing with like Luke Cage and just how powerful he is, or where are lines drawn? You know,
according to the Marvel Cinematic Wiki, it says the firearm ammunition developed by Hammer Industries using metal salvage from the Chitauri invasion.
Mm-hmm. And it says
so. It was from the stuff in the sky during the portal opening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the Marvel Cinematic Universe Wiki.
Some people are saying that vibranium only comes from Wakanda too.
Because from what?
Wakanda, you know where Black Panther's from.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
That's how they made their fortune. Like
Yeah.
that's why he's so fucking wealthy.
Oh, was it because the meteor fell there? I mean, that's not from Earth. Vibranium isn't from Earth, is it? Isn't that an alien metal?
Oh.
We need nerds. And
Yeah, we need real nerds.
We need nerds, and we need them
not
fast.
pretend nerds like we are.
So vibranium and adamantium are the same metal. They just use different names in the cinematic universe. Really?
Oh,
That's
seriously?
strange.
I thought
They're
they
not
were
allowed to use
completely different
adamantium
things.
because Fox owns the rights to the X-Men. That might be what it is.
Really?
Oh,
You think it's something like that?
Oh, wow. It's a licensing issue.
Okay, so yeah,
Licensing
vibranium only comes from Wakanda because a meteor crashed there. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Okay. I had no idea that they were the same thing. I always considered them to be two different metals. Yeah, it never really says in the show. Does it explain why they call it the Judas bullet? Does it explain that even?
Because he said because it's the only bullet that could kill Jesus. That was like
yeah. So you don't have to kill Jesus, you just have to make him bleed. Okay, I gotcha. Okay, I totally missed that.
Yeah.
I totally missed that. Bikeman, was there anything? Were there any scenes that caught your eye, like the cinematography, like of the camera work or anything like that?
Mostly the club scenes when Cottonmouth was still alive.
Yeah.
With the music.
Were
and all
really
that
cool.
stuff?
Yeah, like it reminded me of like the old like style. What was that Eddie Murphy movie where he did the old gangster movie that he did?
Oh,
Daddy
God.
Daycare.
Daddy Daycare.
Daddy Daycare. I believe it was called was it
Pluto Nash.
Beverly Hills
Pluto
Cop.
Nash. Yeah,
You guys are the worst.
I forget what I know
What movie is that? Let me look.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. Harlem Nights. It reminded me
Oh,
of like
it's
a
called
Harlem
Harlem
Nights type of
Nights.
situation. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a scene specifically with the Hispanic boss. I you know what that scene
In
where
the
he walks
boxing
in to talk to Cottonmouth? No, not even the boxing ring one.
No.
There was one where he walks in and I
where he's got the
I made a
candy bars?
joke.
Domingo.
Yeah, with the Milky Way bars. Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually made a
yeah,
joke about it, and I was like, "There's no way this little dude's gonna be intimidating." And the actor and the scene, by the time it was done, I was like, "Man, this is not a dude
He's
you
the
want to
shortest
fuck with."
character in the fucking show, but he's like pretty imposing.
Yeah, like he walks up, he just takes a bite, throws it on the floor, like just fucking with him right in his face, like. God, it was fucking crazy. I remember walking away from that scene going like, damn, that guy is not somebody I would want to fuck
It was
with.
really funny what like later on when he like gets into the gunfight with Diamondback and he's the only survivor and Luke Cage carries him out of the exploding building. He looked like a baby in his arms because the fucking actor for Luke Cage is like 7 feet tall.
Yeah.
And this guy's like 4 foot nothing. So it looked like he was cradling a little child. It was just like
He
I
saved
laughed
Mowgli.
really loud. It's like couldn't look at it any other way. Like he's just like holding a child that's like bleeding and dying.
There was another thing too that was kind of weird. Again, that continuity thing where you go back in, you see how like Diamondback has cleared the warehouse of the Hispanic dudes, like henchmen and everything. But you know what? It's like if I had that suit and I only had like a little bit of glass covering my fucking face and the rest of my face was totally exposed, and I know if I took a bullet to the mouth, I would die. And if I had somebody coming at me like that, wouldn't you aim for the fucking face?
Yeah.
Like a couple of bullets. You're like with Luke Cage, it makes sense, sort of, because he's not going to shoot you, right? But like, it's not the case with these like Hispanic dudes. They're gonna fuck you up. But it's just like he just waltzed in there like invincible, but he really wasn't. Like just shoot him in the face. I don't know.
Honestly,
Little stuff like
I
that
was
bothers me.
Yeah, honestly, like I was really hoping because like the only really exposed part was like his mouth and nose area.
Yeah.
I was really hoping that the fight with Luke at the end would end with him fish hooking him and then throwing him into a building like that or some shit like that. You know, just like that's like the weak spot, but they went like the super generic route of like, oh, the thing on his back.
A fish hook?
Like they could have done something
Really?
really clever and funny and like just like one of those moments where you're like, fuck yeah, you know, got him, but they didn't do it. And it's like
That's funny.
that was disappointing to me.
Okay, so now we have people who are saying that adamantium is reverse engineering of vibranium. So some people are saying that vibranium and adamantium aren't the same thing. One comes from the meteor, and then the other is synthesized metal.
Okay.
Or maybe it's used with vibranium and then synthesized and then becomes adamantium. So maybe it's the same metal, but under different
like a composite
pressure
or something like that.
Yes, yeah, something like that.
So Flabor Hagia, if I'm sorry if I'm butchering your name. He actually has a cool comment here. What was really cool was how they showed the Biggie crown over or on the head of whoever was in charge
and he walked up
during each episode. And then down to the last episode when they took the picture down and replaced it with one with two crowns instead, foreshadowing, you know, basically the future. Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah.
That's definitely I realized that like a little bit later when I was rewatching some of it.
I thought it was a little in your face with it. Like I think that was one thing. Another, like, this show was the show of like horrible and great things. It's like scene to scene. Sometimes it would be like, is that a great scene or a horrible scene? And the scene where he walks up and then the crown, you know, because the camera work is actually like on his head, but in the back, you know, it's on big.
Yeah.
You know, like I was like, is this a good camera shot or a bad one? It's like good because I see the art where they're going with the creativity of it and the artistic, the symbolism. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I'm like, it's so in your face. It's like it's not subliminal. It's not. I don't even know what the word is.
Type of thing, like
it's like it's so in your face, like you can't not look at this. You know, it's like, okay, we get it, the symbolism that he's, you know. It's just, I don't know if I liked it or I didn't like it. If there was one scene in the church, I forgot about this, the church scene where he's remembering, where Luke Cage goes back to his old church where his dad was a reverend or preacher or whatever. And he's remembering the events happening around that. And there's a scene where as a little kid, he goes up to the door and the door swings open. And then Diamondback's mom comes out, Dana or whatever her name is, comes out. And when she opens the door, there's a mirror on the back of the door. And you can actually see adult Luke Cage standing there as he's remembering. And then little Luke Cage right next to him watching the scene play out. It was very, very well done. And it was so quick that I almost didn't catch Luke Cage as an adult standing there in the mirror shot. And it was riddled with scenes like that. You didn't see that?
No, I
man,
didn't catch that. Wow. Okay.
Actually, I wish we could just go back and like throw it up and show you because it's so beautiful. It's so subliminal is what makes it so brilliant. And that's why I didn't like the crown picture because it was like, I don't know. It was almost like a college film student shot it thinking what a clever scene this is. You know, like it was like almost like pseudo clever. I don't know how to explain it. It's just I like the subliminal more than I like the in your face symbolism, I guess is what I'm trying to say. That's what makes it more interesting to go back and watch it again. Because you miss those things, the subliminal stuff. So anyways, I've been rambling for a while. Sorry, guys. I was disappointed too. So he said, I was disappointed that Misty didn't lose her arm to the bionic arm. They teased it so hard. Yeah, that made no sense. She should have lost her arm, especially when they turn again. We talked about that earlier.
Yeah.
I don't know why they didn't.
They played it too safe, like way too safe.
Why is there any reason?
It's probably like a fucking like production issue where it's like they still don't know how they're going to put the cinematic universe and the TV universe together at that right now. I know they have plans in the future to do like a movie where like fucking Daredevil and Luke Cage and Jessica Jones show up and shit, like with like the Avengers and stuff. But that's like years away, so I feel like they just can't do it now for whatever.
Well, they're
reason.
doing what you call it, right? Iron Fist. That one's the one that's
Iron Fist is coming next,
which is a very good friend of Luke Cage and ends up. I believe that Misty Knight ends up with Iron Fist. I think that like romantically in the comics, I think they're a couple.
Okay, so I think we got a caller. Lucky's gonna come on.
Oh, Lucky's
gonna come on. Here we go. Lucky, you there?
Lucky.
Hello.
Oh, hi.
Oh, hello.
Nice. I like that.
What's up?
What's up? Luke Cage.
I'm here to tell you all you smell bad. No, Luke Cage.
I do.
How do you know
I need
that?
to remind you guys, because I'm psychic. No, I kind of wanted to bring up an interesting thing that I saw in it, and it was during the whole Method Man scene where he was doing his performance of his rapping songs. But the relation to Trayvon Martin and everyone walking around in the hoodies, and then the cop pulling the gun on the guy on the street, thinking that he was Luke Cage. He turns around, he puts his hands up with the whole, don't shoot me thing. Do you think that they meant that as a direct, play on what's going on in like real world today? Did they want to spark a conversation with it? Was it more of a nod to what has happened and what needs to change? Like, I'm curious your guys' thoughts on that whole scene and that link with Trayvon Martin.
I feel like that was like persistent throughout the series. There was a lot of like underscored like black on black violence and like police on black violence, that kind of thing. But that sequence was like really hitting it home.
I think I turned my brain off to any of that when I watched it. I think I'm just, and this is maybe more of a personal thing, but I'm just so tired of hearing the media like totally blow up everything that happens in that regard. That now I'm sure it was riddled with it throughout the show. And I do see what I did see was a lot of positive messages portrayed, especially the scene where you've got the young black kid who's got the gun on Luke Cage, and he says, you're going to do this right across the street from a place that's named after one of the greatest black men in history, and blah, 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 and like really gives it to him. There's a lot of positivity in those messages, but for some reason, I could not, I don't know. I didn't see any of those connections just because I just didn't allow myself to. I was trying to enjoy this thing, and it just bothers me every time I think about it.
I was in the same boat as you, actually. It didn't really dawn on me until you just mentioned it, to be honest. Just because I was just more immersed in the series itself more so than how it applied to everyday life right now. How about you, Bikeman?
I was the same way. Like, I just ignore that stuff anyway. So,
yeah, it's just I don't know. I watch shows to have fun and be entertained, and if it gets like to a place that's like all too real, like I'm just like, oh, I don't know if I can do this. I think I just don't let myself. But it's an excellent connection, and I'm sure you're very right about it. Actually, I'm positive you are.
Yeah.
But
I think the director even said he did put that in there for that reason.
Oh, he did.
Oh, the director said that.
Oh, he did say it?
Yeah, somebody saying in chat that the director has outright said it was a reference to Trayvon Martin.
Gotcha. Okay.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting to know, like, I don't know what it is. Like, I get really like sucked into movies or shows or whatever, and I kind of get captured in that whole universe. But as soon as there's like that connection to something that's going on outside of this story that they're telling, it kind of, I don't know, it turns my brain into a different mush of story.
Yeah.
I just think that it's interesting that they chose to put that in there, and I think that it was a great platform for them to bring it up again for those that need to hear it, kind of thing.
And
Anyway,
it
I
definitely is. It totally is.
Yeah, I think that some people enjoy going to that place in their brains when they're watching stuff, and I think some people avoid it. I happen to be one of those people that avoids it usually. I don't like getting really political in my thinking when it comes to, analysis of shows and stuff. Unless it's something specifically put out there for that purpose, like a documentary or something.
Yeah.
Like that. But
right.
I think that you're probably right on the head with all that stuff. What I did like though, and this is coming from somebody who's been through the police academy. I was going to become a cop. My dad was a cop for 30 plus years. My sisters are both cops. I can tell you right now, the attitude in that police department is spot on. Something happens to a cop, they're a gang. I mean, cops are just a gang, just like everybody else. If you do something to them, they're gonna hit the street, man, and it can get ugly. And they're human just like everybody else. And I really liked how they showed the police department when what's his name? Scarf.
Yeah,
Scarf.
Yeah, when he died.
Scarfy or something.
Yeah,
when he died.
Trying to
or the other guy died too when he gets punched by Diamondback
right.
and Luke Cage get framed. He's like, I'm Luke Cage. Like,
when I kill someone, I often shout my name so everyone knows.
Yeah. I think that was very realistic.
Methodology
How angry they
was so
got.
stupid. God.
Yeah.
And there was that whole episode with like the hostage crisis where fucking Shades is telling him over and over again, this is a stupid plan. It will never work. And it like kind of doesn't work. Like at the end of the day, like no one really buys that Luke Cage did all that shit.
I did think it was wicked stupid though. Like the media was like, we've got this footage of a guy, we can't see his face, but he kills the police officer and he yells, I'm Luke Cage. So clearly this is Luke Cage and everyone believes it.
Hey man, that's media though. And a lot of people probably did. It's kind of crazy. But that was kind of what Shades had an issue with Diamondback to begin with, is that he wasn't making very good plans. He's always like that. Like the reason Shades wanted to kind of take over was because Diamondback was just making it up as he went. Like he was like, that's your plan? Like that's your plan? And he's like, yeah, man, it's gonna work. And he's like, man, like he's oh, I know I didn't plan this out, but I've never. What did he say? He's like, I never am off my rhythm or something like that. Like I always figure it out. I just play it by ear. And Shades is like, you're an idiot. Like, this is a terrible plan. So that was, I definitely think that was part of it too. So I think he was supposed to have bad plans. Like I think that was just kind of part of Diamondback, was he wasn't necessarily the mastermind. But anywho, that's a really good question. Now I want to watch back through it and just like, now I just want to pick it apart as a social experiment, like how much did they reference? Yeah. How much did they go into it? Because you kind of, I don't know. I feel like with this, you kind of, not that you have to, but that again, it's like a missed opportunity if you don't maybe. But again, I just try to focus on the positive messages of it,
Did anyone watch The Get Down on Netflix?
No.
It's another series that's like a black culture series, and it like deals with the music and like gangsters and like all that other stuff. I almost wish that they just took Luke Cage out of this series and put him into that one because it was better.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So
no, I've never seen it.
Why don't we wrap it? Why don't we just give out of 10 what we gave the movie? Kind of just each of us.
The show.
Yeah, the show. I'm sorry, not the.
I go like a 5.56.
Yeah, I'd go 6.
I was entertained, and I felt like there were more good than bad moments. But as a whole, it didn't grab me as much as Jessica Jones or Daredevil did, and that's what I stack it up to, is the other Marvel Netflix shows.
Yeah. Okay. So how about you, Ella?
I think I'm about there. I think I'm about a 5. Like I said, it's like I said, it's one of those things where it's like scene to scene, it's either brilliant or stupid, and I think it just kind of evens out with a 5. Like in some scenes I think are excellent, and others I'm just like, this is shitty. What do you think, Chan?
I think overall probably the same, but if I were to break it up, I think the show up to when Cottonmouth dies is probably like
I was going to say that.
Yeah, it's about 7 or 8.
It was stronger when that was going on. Yep.
And then the rest of it, honestly, like the latter 7 episodes was like a 3 for me. So on average, probably a 5.
Do you think? Here's a question, and I don't. Whatever. I'm just going to ask the question. Do you think that we would have enjoyed this more? Two-part question. One, if we were black and if we understood black culture more, and do you think we would have enjoyed it more if we understood blaxploitation films more?
I can see that.
Yeah.
I mean, I can see it. It's like, it definitely is like, I will never take away from the fact that Luke Cage is an important character, and it's important that like black kids growing up have a fucking black superhero to look up to and like read comic books about. And so it's cool that he has his own show now, and I feel like that's an important thing, and that's like a good reason for it to exist. As like someone who just like judges it purely on like cinematically, like story wise, plot wise, characters, it's got problems, but I can totally see that being like a really, really, really positive thing for black kids and black people.
Yeah.
I think I would probably like it more if I, could relate to it a little bit more. And it's just like anything else, right? I think everything in life, if you can relate to it a bit more, it's gonna resonate with you more. Things, there's gonna be every little bit that we might not have caught. Maybe even before we had this discussion, there were probably a lot of things I didn't catch that I kind of realize now, right? And there's another level of that too when you can relate to those type of scenarios and scenes. And if you lived in Harlem, just even seeing some of the places that show up on screen, they're kind of like, oh, that's awesome, so totally would enjoy it more.
I definitely felt that my ignorance towards movies like Shaft or like Foxy Brown and stuff like that. Like if I would have had an appreciation or seen those, I think I probably would have liked the show a lot more. I think my rating would be higher for it. Because I think they probably had a lot of like throwback stuff, maybe even the cinematography.
I have a knowledge of those, and it doesn't change my opinion.
Really?
Yeah.
So did they? Okay, so here's a question, real quick. Did they use sort of the same cuts or scenes?
No, it had none of the
or
swagger
shots?
of those.
Okay. See, I thought maybe it did.
Like it was set in this period, but it had its own tone, right? But like those blaxploitation movies had like a swagger. They had like a rhythm to the editing and the cutting and the acting.
It was more over the top. Yeah, it's definitely more over the top, those movies.
And this was just like, we make references to things that are in those, but like we're not following the same footsteps.
Yeah. I don't know. I felt like there was like hints of it, like with his back and forth with women and stuff. These like powerful, black men, like they always hit on the women. The women are always, for lack of a better word, jiving with them. So it's like,
well, I mean, look at the movie Shaft with Samuel
I know.
Jackson.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like that's that kind of thing. And I felt like I don't know. I felt like they were kind of trying to like push that on Luke Cage, and maybe he wasn't necessarily a ladies' man, but they tried to make him into one just to kind of follow that sort of genre of film.
I remember the quote. Can you describe the man that you saw? He was fine.
Yeah. Like that is something that I feel like I would find in Shaft. Tell us about Shaft.
But like, everything would be like that, not just like tip of the hat is all that was.
Yeah. Okay. I was just curious. Merely curious.
All right, well, why don't we preview what we're going to be doing next week? And again, for those of you tuning in for the first time, what we do is we give you homework.
This is a good one.
We give you homework. You got to go and check out what we're going to talk about next week so that you can come and join in the discussion. So next week we've got whose idea was it? It was Nick's, right? So or Diction's.
Hi.
So why don't you talk about it?
Hey, how you doing?
Talking Fargo. We could do the movie and the first season, or just the first season. You don't have to watch the movie to understand it, but there are a lot of really cool details they put in there. It's more thematically in tune with the movie. So yeah, I think, let me double check where you can watch this. That's super simple. I don't think it's on Netflix, but
I'm just throwing this out there. You better fucking watch the movie, okay? Like it would be a crime to me if you didn't. I mean, you could just watch the show and appreciate it, enjoy it. It's fucking awesome. But if you don't watch the movie Fargo at this point, like this is a film that is easily my top 20, out of all the films I've ever seen.
Prepare them for the tone though, because you need to be prepared going in that it's a slow burn movie, but it's like really subtle and deep and like dark. Really good.
It's definitely
if you really
very
like
funny, dry humor, really
get
dark
ready to like soak into characters. Yeah.
And if you like any sort of like murder mystery kind of thing, or kind of like a, not necessarily like a whodunit, because you kind of know, but like
it's from the directors of The Big Lebowski. That should be a book. Like
No Country for Old Men was like Fargo, but without snow.
Was Fargo before or after Big Lebowski?
Before,
right? It was like their first huge thing.
It was like 90s, wasn't it?
Yeah, dude, I remember I watched it when it originally came out a long time ago. So
But I think it's on Amazon streaming. I'm not sure if it's free with Prime though. Because I bought the season, so it's not telling me. But let me try.
Is that an Amazon Prime plug there, or Twitch Prime plug there?
Exactly. If you have Amazon Prime, you get a bunch of streaming videos. So yeah.
Yeah, I would say that yes, watch the film. But I think we'll probably be talking
We'll focus a little more on the
about the season. I think probably season 1.
Yeah.
But both are incredible. I walked into Fargo the series having watched the movie thinking there's no way they could make this as good as the movie, and I walked away thinking.
All right, cool. Season 1 is on Hulu, which is free, so you can just watch that for free.
Okay, cool. Hulu guys, Fargo. It's gonna be great. I gotta rewatch the movie though. It's been so long.
Spectacular movie and spectacular show.
And
It's gonna be a lot of fun to break that down and talk
Yeah.
about that. I'm gonna have to watch through season 1 just to remind myself. But oh god, Billy Bob Thornton.
All right, Billy Bob is amazing. Well, why don't we wrap up and do some shout outs? Bikeman, first guest. You're always gonna be our first, man. Forever.
You'll always be our first.
Forever.
I'll never forget.
We love each other, but like we just don't feel that way after years. You guys are looking well. I see you've lost weight.
You're looking as well as well.
No, but thanks a lot for coming on. And any shout outs you want to do, or where can people find you?
No problem.
Oh wait, I didn't hear you, Chan. You
Oh,
cut
you
out.
didn't?
Like,
Oh,
yeah, you got
it was like totally cut
There's a
out.
little bit on the Discord.
You have an aggressive mic
Oh, I do.
thing going on.
Okay.
So
No, any
repeat it
shout outs you
again.
want to do, or where can people
Oh,
find
there
you?
you go.
Usually, like I stream on Twitch.
Man, this is amazing.
He has no
Shout out right
schedule, so that's like the most
I have
accurate.
zero schedule. Enjoy.
Can they follow you on Twitter somewhere so they know when you get on?
Bikeman stream on Twitter. I don't really like doing shout outs. It's like I'm a dude. You know,
Too
if you-
bad.
If you enjoy
Dude.
me enough to
Find
look me up,
him.
then awesome, dude. I'm not gonna put it.
Okay, so my name is
This is
Bikeman,
awesome.
and I stream on. I have a movable schedule on Twitch. I do stream. I'm very funny. I like to make comedy out of thin air at about anything I play. I play a lot of MMOs, play a lot of FPS, really anything that catches my eye. And in fact, I am very good at finding gems on Steam and other video game sources and making them some of the most hilarious playthroughs that anybody has ever seen. And that is me, Bikeman. And you can follow me at all my great things on my page. if you go-
Twitter.com/Bikeman stream.
Dude,
Yep.
do you want to?
go
Do you need
to-
a buzzword from me? Because I had one. Someone called me recently.
what?
I think it was Omid from OP Group. He's called me an influencer because I like
Yeah,
convince
yeah,
other
you
streamers
are.
to play shit.
Oh, nice.
True.
Nice.
That's a good
So that's Bikeman's spiel for him.
The title. Influencer. All right, Diction. Shout out.
Hi, you're on my channel right now, so here it is. Click that follow button if you're new and you like me. I'll be
go.
streaming later tonight, Fucked Up Friday, where we get drunk and play games, and it usually gets pretty ugly. Twitter's down, so don't bother following me.
It's got to be back up by now, right?
Hey, what
Not up for
channel?
me.
Do we even know what channel we're gonna have it on next week? Do we even talk about
We can
that?
do it
Are
here
we
again.
rotating to ChanMan's, or do we? what
Let's,
do
we
we
can do it
wanna
here again. That's cool.
One of these days,
Yeah,
one of
it's
you shows like JP show and this one are gonna like set up a channel ahead of time and fucking like.
Oh, does JP still swap around a lot? I didn't even know.
Everybody does.
Oh, does
Yeah.
it? Yeah. Well, we just like just spreading the love, whatever. You know, it's cool. It doesn't really matter. You know, the show exists in its ether. It doesn't matter where it's actually shown.
Even on iTunes, where nobody rates it. Oh, here we
Hey,
go.
man. Hey, that was my shout out.
I beat you to it.
Okay.
I guess I'll go next. I'm Ellohime. Hi, everybody. It's usually, the show has been on my channel primarily until now. So if you guys are interested in anything I've got going on, you guys can check it out on my channel, twitch.tv/Ellohime, and you can find all my other shit there. I think the only thing I'm doing this month is I'm playing. I mean, I played a lot of Battlefield 1. I've been streaming like 5-6 days a week. But I think I'm gonna do Layers of Fear very soon.
Wow.
That's
Like the whole game. I streamed it when it was early access and it had just like a portion of the game. It was one of the scariest fucking games I ever played. But I think I'm gonna do it soon. So if you enjoy watching bearded men scream like women, yeah, you're not gonna want to miss that shit because there will be a lot of that. And I have like T-Rex sound bites that I put for like donations and subs and shit. So like whenever somebody subs, it's just like the T-Rex roar from Jurassic Park, like the like the crazy thing. And I just turn my headset up so loud, it's stupid. I get scared about everything. So it'll be a long stream because I'm not gonna move very quickly. But anyways,
Awesome.
that's me.
Yeah.
Chan, what's going on with you, man?
Just you can find my stuff on everything that ends in ChanManV, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, all that good stuff. And I debuted my game show I've been working on forever yesterday, Streamer Showdown, the Overwatch community, and Bikeman here hosted. So big shout out to Bikeman for doing that. But it was a lot of fun. It was definitely a lot of fun. You can check out the VOD on my YouTube channel if you missed it. And the show, spoiler alerts, is on iTunes as well as Google Music Podcasts. And if you like the show, you can try to find. It's kind of hard to find right now. You got to type in spoiler alerts because we don't really have a category, So that's one thing that it's kind of tough from the standpoint of just like SEO or whatnot on iTunes. But if you do like it, leave a 5-star review and a nice text review or some kind of opinion about the show. That would be great.
Or interpretive dance review.
Exactly. Interpretive dance review. Leave a link to the video of your interpreted dance. That'd be amazing. And then the VOD will be available too on youtube.com/ChanManV. But that's going to be it, guys, for spoiler alerts today. So for Bikeman, Eat My Diction, Ellohime, and myself, ChanManV, we'll see you next week. Bye.
Have a good one. Cheers.
Cheers. Was that a fart noise I heard?
I was blowing a kiss.
Oh.